right. So before we get started with the actual practice, first, welcome. I'm glad you could join me live, and for those of you that are watching later, we missed you, but I'm glad you dropped back in. We're going to use our strap tonight just to bring awareness to our kind of breathing container and our pressure system. So what you'll do is take your strap or your band or whatever you have, it could even be a bathrobe tie, and you're going to tie it underneath your chest area in your rib cage. Now we don't want it too low. We don't want it like at the floating ribs or in the waistline. So kind of just right under where your bra sits is a really good kind of baseline. And you don't want it overly tight, but you do want to be able to feel that it's there because we're going to use it to kind of breathe into and give ourselves feedback with our breathing. And during the practice, I will mute all of your microphones, and then after the practice, we can unmute and have a short chat. And during this practice, I don't do a lot of talking. I'm going to set you up with the positions if they're static holds, and then I'm just going to be quiet. So if there's some time in there where you don't hear anything from me, that's not uncommon. And then if it's an actual movement, I'll try to give you a few sparse cues, but I encourage you just to do your own exploration throughout the practice. And I'm going to move this guy a little bit so that you can see a little bit better. We'll see if he complies. We're only going to do a couple of positions today, and then we're going to do our Yoga Nidra. So just to give you a heads up of how this is all going to roll out. And once you get your band set up or your strap set up, please come onto your back and have your blanket nearby in case you want it underneath your head to make your neck more comfortable. That's just strictly optional. All right. So our first position is going to involve a couple different things. Once you get that band around you, come on down to your back, and your left arm, you're going to tip yourself a little to the right, and you're going to kind of tuck your left arm on either underneath your bum or underneath your low back or even underneath your upper back with your palm facing outward. Now, the higher you get that arm in relationship to your spine, the more intense the stretch is going to be on your shoulder. And then you're just going to lay back on that hand. Your right arm is going to tuck behind you, kind of like you're patting yourself on your back. And I like to just rest the back of my skull on my lower arm bone. So my right palm is facing my body underneath my head, and my left palm is touching the floor underneath me. And we're just going to try to find a little bit of stillness here as much as possible anyway. And do your best to breathe out into your band with equal pressure all throughout your core container. We typically can easily expand into the front of the ribs, but we've really been working on this idea of 360 degrees of breath expansion in our classes. And your left arm is underneath you, or your left hand, so you might even be able to use that as a point of touch for your inhale expansion. You can breathe a little deeper than normal, but you don't have to overwork it. Just try to pull air in nice and slow and fill up until it feels appropriate. And then as you exhale, also let it trickle out your nose with control as slowly as possible. That slow exhale is what's going to help us switch over to more of our rest and digest response. feed some of that inhale expansion out into the sides of the strap, as if you could make your breath a little bit wider. Your legs could be stretched all the way to the ground, or you could find another position for them that feels just right for you tonight. I'm going to offer you another layer to this. If you're super comfortable and you don't wish to change anything, it's cool. But the one thing you could do from here is to take your upper body into an arc. So you're kind of curling over to the left a little bit. So now the right side is being stretched. And then the other thing you could do is walk your legs over on a diagonal to the left as well. So your body starts to resemble the shape of a banana or a crescent. If that brings any discomfort to anywhere in your neck or shoulders, or even around your lower back, just adjust back to that neutral position, and we'll be here for just a little while yet. Try to notice if your breathing feels like it's up in your neck or in your high chest, and then work on bringing that inhale deeper into your body, lower and also wider. A full-bodied breath. See if you can breathe a bit more here into the backside. Even if that's only happening in your imagination, it's still a good connection to make. Let's release the arms. If you changed your spine position or your leg position, just try to neutralize everything now. Bend your knees and set them a little bit wider, and then just let your knees rest together for a moment and let the arms be free. They can come out to a T, they could just rest beside you, or you could bring them into that cactus position with your elbows bent. Just make sure all parts of your arm and hand can touch the ground so that you can give up the effort of holding them. As we continue to move through the practice, remember that there might be distractions from time to time, whether that's something in your mind or a sound that you hear either on your end or my end. And so it's helpful just to welcome in anything as part of the practice, as the discipline of staying focused on our inner landscape. Some would argue that that's the hardest part of this practice. staying connected to breathing sensation is what helps me a lot. Because my mind doesn't like to calm down or quiet down, but you know, we can just step away from that somewhat and try to be objective and observe it without getting involved, at least for a short time. Okay, let's reverse the arm position, and we're going to start with just a neutral spine and leg position. But your right arm is going to tuck underneath, so you might need to roll to your left to let that happen. And how far you go is completely up to your right shoulder here. So I've got a little bit of difference in my shoulders, so this position is going to be far different than the last one for me. And then the left arm is going to reach behind your head like you're patting yourself on the back. And then you can just let the back of your head weight down into your left forearm. And we'll add in the bonus position in a little while. Let's just try to settle here. It's okay if you feel like you need to let your head turn one direction or the other. If it doesn't balance quite perfectly on your arm, it can turn slightly. Find your expansive breath. A soothing sound perhaps in the throat as you move air through your nose. Smoothing off the edges, bringing a wave-like quality to breathing. No force as the air leaves you, just let it trickle. Moving out like a slow, lazy stream of air rather than the rush or a waterfall. Maybe there's a place for you to land in stillness after your exhale completes. Now you have the choice to remain with a neutral spine position, or you can keep your arms like this and take a little side stretch by arcing your spine a little bit to the right a few degrees, and then maybe the legs also sweep slightly outward away from your midline. If that doesn't improve the sensation, let it go. But if it just changes things, that's good. It's a new stimulus for your brain. Just pay attention to it. And stay very curious about your breathing. Release your arms back to a T position out to the side and rearrange the rest of your body so that it feels like a neutral reclining position. And then you can take that strap and loosen it. You can completely remove the strap unless you want to keep that reminder there for a little longer. Okay, next up, we're going to do just some really soft somatic movements. We're going to keep arms to the side here, maybe slightly lower than the shoulders to begin. And this is going to feel really subtle. And there doesn't need to be a whole lot of movement here. Just gently turn your head over to the right, like you're looking over towards your right hand, and then peel the left rear shoulder off the ground just a little bit and let the front of your shoulder kind of tip inward and forward. And then lay your shoulder back down and bring your head back on straight. We're going to do the same side a few more times. Swivel your head to the right and just slightly lift that left shoulder away from the floor, just the front of it. The back can stay down. Lower your shoulder. Return your head to neutral. Let's do 3 more, real slow. Turn. Lift and reach the shoulder slightly inward. Relax it. And head back to center. Last 2 on your own. Final repetition. And let's do 5 the other direction. Look over the left shoulder, peel the front right shoulder up and in slightly. Shoulder relaxes, and head turns back. So the motion might feel, at least in the shoulder, it might feel a little herky-jerky at first. And after a few repetitions, hopefully we can kind of smooth out that transition so that it's not just 2 distinct movements, but it's this nice journey into the new position and a really slow journey back out of it. Couple more. And then release back to center, bend your knees again. Set your feet a little wider. And this time we're just going to let the legs windshield wiper a few times. Take it easy with this. No pushing or dropping, just kind of a gentle flow, right and left. We'll progress this motion to include a little shoulder, a little rib cage, and a little neck movement. So here's what we'll do. As your legs travel towards the left, your right arm is going to reach up and across, and you're going to turn your upper body towards the left side of your mat and reach your right arm until you feel a tensional stretch on the right side of your ribs or even into your shoulder blades, or at least the right shoulder blade. And then just spiral out of that, lay back to neutral, and then let the legs pivot over to the right. Left arm reaches up, across, beyond the right hand. Unravel, come back to the center and switch it out. Legs left, right arm guides you over onto your left side to reach, and just kind of let the head follow along. No need to lift it per se. It's just kind of along for the ride. Decide if you want to let the legs lead the movement, or maybe you want to mix it up every now and then and let the arm reach lead you. Or maybe the head turn leads you. I'm just going to keep going at your own rhythm, exploring those potential variations if you like. Let's repeat one more set each direction. Doesn't really matter what side you started on and what side you finish on. Let's do this final set here. And then you are going to remove that blanket from underneath your head for a moment and lay on one side, and it doesn't matter what side you start on. So if you want to just lay on whatever side you can to see me, that's cool. The left arm, instead of cradling your head with it, bring your left arm straight out in front of your body. Legs can be bent a little bit here if that feels more balanced. And then you're going to let your head drop towards the ground. Maybe it doesn't go all the way down. Maybe you want to avoid any unsavory sensations on the side that's closest to your mat. And then we're actually going to work the neck a little bit to build some resiliency. So you'll lift your head up into a little side bend and trying to take that top ear towards your top shoulder without lifting your shoulder up. So top shoulder stays down, and then you're just moving your neck laterally. Ear towards the bottom shoulder, ear towards the top shoulder. Nice and slow, pain-free range of motion, 3 more times. It doesn't take long to realize how heavy your head is here, especially if this type of movement is new to you. Now this time as you bring your head up, you're going to think ear to shoulder, and then just turn your gaze down towards the mat, any amount. And then pivot your gaze up towards the ceiling. 2 more like that. Keep that little side bend in your neck, and then just look left and right, or right and left. Let your eyes lead the way. Last one, finish it up. Relax back down on your back, or you could lay on your stomach for a moment too. We'll just reset briefly before we do the other side. Make your way onto your opposite side, bottom arm reaching out to the long side of your mat. And then your head is tipping towards the floor. If it doesn't touch, it's okay, because we're going to mobilize. Ear towards the top shoulder, and then ear towards the earth. Or maybe you can even think of it like the crown of your head has a headlight on it, and you're just shining that light on a diagonal, downward and upward. 3 more like that. Keep shoulders easeful. Breath smooth and full. And the next time you find yourself with your head lifted, you're going to spiral it down and just peek down at your mat. And then swivel up like you're trying to look over your top arm shoulder. Rotate again downward and open and upward. Notice if that top shoulder is trying to creep up to help. Try to relax that, and let's do one more pivot. And then you can either lay on your back again for a release or flip over onto your stomach for a few rounds of breathing. And if you decide to go to the stomach, that's really nice because then you can really try to expand into the back since it's not touching the ground. Okay, so our next position will take just a little bit of organization. I'm going to show you a couple different ways to set this up because depending on what you have for tools, it'll be different for you. First, I'm going to show you the way with a bolster. If you happen to have a bolster or a homemade bolster, you're going to have one yoga block on the second side where your head would be, and then you're going to intersect with the second block on the low side. So it looks like a T kind of. And then you would make a ramp with your bolster to lay on those blocks. And then you could recline on that ramp. Okay, so that's option number one, just a super gentle back bend. Second option. This would be if you don't have a bolster. So one block could go on the low side, which would land underneath your shoulder blades. So some folks like this, and some folks think it's a little uncomfortable with the block edges digging into your tissue. So you'll have to kind of feel it out and decide. Your head could lay all the way back as long as that feels all right for your neck. Or you could slide a folded blanket or towel underneath your head. Now, if that's just too much, this is where we could use a towel or a blanket. Blanket can go laterally across your mat, and again, it's going to land just under your shoulder blades or by your bra strap. Same idea. Lay back. If you don't need anything under your head, awesome. But if you feel like there's just too much extension in your neck, slide something underneath the back of your skull. And then how do your legs fit best with this new position of fish? Build it in a way that feels right for you. We're going to be here for a little bit. Establish that relationship again with your breathing. Allow gravity to draw you just a little bit closer to the earth. Finding that sense of groundedness that comes with giving up the effort. Can you get any more easeful around shoulders and neck? And what about the jaw and the forehead? Receiving breath. Letting it come to you naturally without force, without trying to chase depth. And then just allow for that exhale to empty your container. And maybe just a little bit of emphasis on the very bottom of that exhale. Emptying your lungs completely. I'll leave you in silence for some time. Enjoy these last few moments of your supported fish pose, bringing even more awareness to the backside of your heart when you're inhaling, as if you could puff up that space in between your shoulder blades with your inhale breath. Notice the space along the side rib cage, maybe even a little bit into the sides of your waist, finding that beautifully wide breath from left to right. And allow the belly also to be free to canopy as much as it wants to. Slow down the exhales even more. We'll move on now to the Yoga Nidra meditation. So you are going to build yourself a resting nest of ultimate comfort. If you know that you don't like to lay flat on your back, you could arrange your body in any kind of position for this. You could even do it seated if you wanted to. The idea is to just be comfortable and choose a position where you don't have to hold yourself in any way. So the more supports you have underneath you, if you're on your back, the better. A lot of folks like something underneath their legs. I prefer underneath my thighs rather than underneath my knees. And then I usually like to have a little something underneath the back of my head, and also something covering my eyes. If it's possible to minimize the light in your space, that's another great strategy. And take the time here to get it right for you. What can you do to make yourself just a little more comfortable and at ease? In Yoga Nidra, we ask the body to go to sleep and rest while the mind stays conscious, however gently that may be, and aware of that relaxation in the body. And there might be times during the practice where your consciousness starts to drift or slip, and you might feel like you're falling asleep. That's okay. And if you fall asleep, it's all right. But you will try your best, at least, to stay connected to the sound of my voice primarily. And maybe you have some music playing in the background. Keep it subdued, but you can also use that as a thread to your aware state. Once your body is comfortable, do your best to stay still. And during the practice, I'll be asking you to pay attention to different areas inside your body. And there will be times where I will ask you to hear a phrase in your own voice, an affirmation. But to start things off, maybe you have your own seed of intention that you would like to plant for this practice. A positive statement, some sort of transmission you would like to send through this restful process, an I am statement. Could be something like, I am relaxed. I am whole. I am valuable. If something comes to mind, repeat it to yourself a few times. It's also perfectly fine to enjoy this practice with no intention at all. Once you've planted that seed, your conscious rest will provide nourishment. You can let it go for now. Observe your breathing. Notice where you're feeling the most obvious expansion inside you when you take your inhale. And how does the texture of your inhale compare to your exhale? Observing from the standpoint of curiosity rather than judgment. Being the witness. Decompress your jaw and smooth out the skin around your forehead and eyes, eyelids and eyebrows. And feel the container of your skin relax and go soft. Feeling a heightened sense of gravity again, as if you were being held, supported, and cared for. As we take a sensory journey inside your body, there's no need for you to move or shift or do anything at all, except take your attention to the area when I call its name. And some find it helpful to also visualize a small point of light there. We'll start in the forehead, right in the center. The third eye space. As we subdue the thinking mind in this practice, our creative mind comes alive. Move your awareness to your throat and feel it resting. Move your awareness to your right shoulder, effortless. Right elbow, wrist, the tip of your right thumb, right index fingertip, middle fingertip, ring finger, pinky finger, and sense all 5 fingers at once. No holding or gripping. Feel your hand get heavier and sense the palm of your hand. Go to the back of your hand. Travel your awareness to your wrist, elbow, right shoulder, the deep hollow of your throat. Sense your left shoulder on your body, left elbow, wrist, left thumb tip, left index fingertip, middle fingertip, ring finger, pinky finger, left hand. Notice all 5 fingers on your left hand at the same time. Let go. And feel the weight of your left hand, a bit heavier than before. Sense your left palm and the back of your left hand. Left wrist, elbow, left shoulder, throat, right arm sensation. Feel your right arm. Left arm as a whole. Sense your left arm on your body. Guide your awareness now to the center of the heart, middle of the chest. Feel the right side of your heart. Move back to the center. And travel to the left side of the chest. Back to the center heart space. Send your awareness to the area around your navel and the softness of belly. Easy breath. And give yourself permission to let go here just a little bit more. And go to the middle of your pelvis with your attention. Right side of your pelvis. Right hip joint. Feel your right knee. Ankle. First toe. Second toe. Third toe. Fourth toe. Sense the 5th toe on your right foot. 5 toes together. Sense your right foot as a whole. Top of your foot and the sole of your foot. Go to your right ankle Move to your right knee, right hip, right side of your pelvis. Sensation now back at the middle of the pelvis. Left side of your pelvis. Left hip joint. Left knee. Ankle. Big toe, left foot. Second toe. Third toe. Notice your fourth toe. Sense the fifth toe on your left foot. Be aware of all of the toes on your left foot at the same time. Feel your left foot. Sense the top of your foot and the left sole. Move to your ankle, knee, left hip, left side of your pelvis. Dropping in again to the middle pelvis. Deep, low, and heavy inside your body. Feel the base of your spine. And the curve of your low back. Feel into your upper back. Sense the delicate curve of your neck. And take your awareness to the back of your skull. Center your awareness halfway between the front of your forehead and the back of your skull, the root of your third eye. The origin of your creative mind, your intuition, your sense of seeing and knowing. Infuse this space with your affirmation, your seed of intention. I am. I am. I am. Receive the following statements. Take what you need and simply let the rest go. I am free and clear of all that has happened to me in the past. I accept my life exactly as it is. I accept and love myself exactly as I am right now. am whole. I am resting in pure awareness. I am loved. I am connected. I am peaceful. And feel your whole body letting go just a bit more. Full body awareness. Rest your whole body. And bring your attention back to the sensations and the sounds of your breathing. And there's no need to change anything. Just follow it in and follow it back out again. Knowing that you do have the choice at any time to change your breath. And just notice how those changes form your body, or maybe relax your mind, or give you some new perspectives. Feel your breath in your lungs and sense your other internal systems, those that are out of your control. The circulatory system, the pump of your heart, and the natural healing systems throughout your body, and the rest doing its work on you to bring about any changes or transformations that you're seeking. And remembering that you have control over those too. They are your choices to make when the time is right. More intentional breath now. Seeing if you can find a little bit more expansion through the ribs, allowing for the belly to canopy slightly, and trying to find that back body space as well. And slowest exhale yet. Small pause after your exhale. And then refuel your body with new air. Pulling it all the way down to the bottom lobes of your lungs. Another complete, full exhalation till you're empty, and then just a bit more. Another pause, and a new, refreshing breath. As you breathe in a way that feels appropriate for you right now, you can start to slowly and randomly bring about some awakening changes into your physical body. Sometimes I like to start with something as simple as touching each one of my fingers to my thumb, one at a time. Out to the pinky, and then back again. Try to stretch your toes apart from one another, and then curl them together nice and tight. And find some rotation through your wrists and your ankles. Explore turning your head from side to side, allowing for the shoulders to move along as well. Bend your knees, set your feet nice and wide on your mat, and find that rocking right to left with the legs. And then let's spend just a little time laying on the side. Let's go left side tonight. And we're also going to think about breathing through the left nostril. And if it's possible for you to actually close down your right nostril for a little while, we're going to try to move the air through the left nostril only. And if that doesn't work for you laying on your side, you can always just come up to your seat right away. Take it slow. Left nostril breathing sensation. Counting down from 10. Final few breaths through that left nostril. Maybe you can sense the coolness of that inhale breath. And then the warmth of your exhale. Final breath like this. Longest inhale you can make through your left nostril. And a deliciously slow exhale. Very patient. Push out every last molecule of air. And then you can let that go, and in your own time, transition up to an upright seat. You can keep your eyes closed or your gaze down. For those of you who are in the Zoom call tonight live, they usually open up discussion for just a few moments or so. For those of you that are watching the playback or who are in the Facebook group, the guidance is now complete. I hope you have an excellent week and a holiday if you're celebrating with your family, your loved ones. Whether they're near or far, they're in your heart. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Thanks for being here. Namaste.